the next 2 days are packed with hearings for some of the biggest court cases we've been following here on Prime. Let's take a quick look. Alex Murdaugh. He will be in South Carolina in a courtroom for the first time since his double murder conviction was overturned. The status conference is the first step in the retrial of the lawyer who is accused of killing his wife, Maggie, and son, Paul, back in 2021. Luigi Mangione, he is also back in court tomorrow, just over a week after his legal team withdrew his psychiatric defense. He's facing both federal and state charges for the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. In our nation's capital, White House Correspondents' dinner shooting suspect Cole Allen Thomas, he will appear for a status conference regarding charges of attempting to assassinate President Trump. And Abraham Alvarez, the suspected ringleader in that thwarted bomb plot at the White House UFC event, will continue his preliminary and detention hearings in a Lincoln, Nebraska court. That concludes Monday, but 2 more major hearings are scheduled for Tuesday. Former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia, who are both facing multiple charges, including narco-terrorism, will have a status hearing in a New York City court. An actor and director, Timothy Busfield, who is facing child sexual abuse charges, is scheduled for a status conference. That will be in New Mexico. To break it all down, let's bring in trial attorney and former prosecutor Randolph Rice. Randolph, welcome to the show. A lot to get through. Let's start with Alex Murdaugh. It's been just over a month since the South Carolina Supreme Court overturned the murder convictions related to the killing of his wife and son. We are now in the very early stages of setting up a retrial. And we saw Murdaugh's lawyer file several motions just last week. Your thoughts of what's going on here?
Yeah, Hannah, good evening. And you're right about this. I mean, this is the second time around for these guys. You know, they've done this before, and they're going back in the courtroom to really the 2 big arguments they're making. The first one is they want to find out what DNA is under Maggie's fingernails. They believe that's the DNA that's going to free their client. So they want a third party, a company called courtroom, to analyze that, and they need the permission of the court. And the second issue that they're probably going to be arguing is, we just don't think that this jurisdiction where he was tried before, the venue, the courthouse, is going to be fair, because they're believing that there's too many people, there's too many potential jurors that know about this case. They're going to say, you know what, we just can't judge this case fairly. And so they want to move it to a different jurisdiction within South Carolina.
And we're being told Murdaugh will be allowed to have a laptop in jail to review any evidence. Do you think the judge is going to grant any of these motions? And this is the first time Alex Murdaugh is in court since the murder conviction was overturned. What can we expect in the next few days?
Well, I'm going to expect a lot of media, a lot of people watching this in the courtroom. Obviously, that's going to be the first thing. But I think that the defense is going to be ready. You know, this is a second time around. This always benefits the defense attorneys and the defense, because they know what the prosecution is going to throw at them. Are they going to grant the motion for the fingernail DNA? Yes, I think they are. I think that would be a huge misjustice if they didn't. Change of venue is going to be a tough question, because that really is something that's going to come down to the jurors. Can you find 12 people to judge him that have not heard about this case and can be fair about it? And that's really not a decision that happens now, but when jury selection happens.
To find jurors that haven't heard about a case, I'm moving on to Luigi Mangione. Many people obviously know the name. A lot of interesting developments in his case as well. We know there were reports of that possible plea deal. It appears to have fallen through. Tomorrow's federal hearing is expected to further hammer out his upcoming trial. Do you think we'll get to trial in Mangione's case here, Randolph?
Hannah, that is a great question that I've been asked probably 50 times in the past 3 days since we had this new development, because of this change of not going with this extreme emotional disturbance argument, which a lot of people in the legal community thought that that was going to be his best bet to get a lower sentence. There have been the ideas and the floating of a plea, but his team has said, no, we're not talking with prosecutors about that. I still don't think that's off the table. And in fact, I think what we call in the legal field is a global plea, which means you bring the federal prosecutors in, the state prosecutors in, and they hammer out a plea that solves every case. That's probably the most likely. So when they're saying, oh, we're not working on a plea with the federal prosecutors, that may mean they're just waiting for the state to get involved.
So if they're not invoking the psychiatric defense, what do you think the plan now is for Mangione's defense? Because you're right, many people anticipated that to play out in court.
Yeah. So that emotional distress, disturbance, defense, he can still assert that, but he can't assert it though with experts. He can assert it himself, meaning he can get on the stand during his state trial and he can tell the jury all about his emotional problems, his anger, the buildup, the moments before he allegedly shot Mr. Thompson, and that can still work. It has happened in the past. The problem is he won't have experts to get on the stand and testify on his behalf.
All right, Randolph Rice, so fascinating. Thank you for explaining all these huge court cases that we're going to be focusing on in the next 2 days. We appreciate your time. We hope you come back. Thank you again.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.